What's going on, everybody? Culturedog Sam Hatch back here with some more LaserDiscs. I'm slowly catching up with my LaserDisc collection updates from the past couple months. You may have seen some of these in the past few episodes of the Wolfpack podcast, the LaserDisc Wolfpack THX CAV special limited edition podcast, which I've been doing with a bunch of great guys and gals from the LaserDisc community. So check those out on this channel. I usually drop them every other Sunday night, time permitting. But anyways, there are a bunch of LDs that I haven't shown off on that too, just because of time constraints, etc. So we're just gonna dig into everything I've gotten. And so when we last left off, I showed a bunch of discs from Jason Floyd that he had sent me, and these are a bunch of things, some eBay picks and some from Vinny Onorati, and we'll get into it. But yeah, I grabbed this off eBay. This is just a replacement for my old copy that I had picked up probably from Columbia House of Apocalypse Now, the letterboxed gatefold, and this is one of the films that was reimagined by Vittorio Storaro in Univisium, his universal aspect ratio. There's a cool gatefold in here. And there is a punch in here, which is a bummer, but other than that, it is fantastic. It's got a great letter from Francis Ford Coppola there. It's just a Dolby surround encoded track, but in Pro Logic, it still sounds fantastic. And I had a little bit of nostalgia for this release in particular. I sold mine when I upgraded to DVD, and I just had a lot of fond memories blasting this on my old system in my basement with my Chase Surround add-on surround decoder and my old JVC AVR and my Sony MDP LaserDisc player. So I just kind of want to recapture the magic and grab one of these. So I grabbed that off of eBay. And likewise, I grabbed this because it's been on my list for quite some time. The AC3 remastered reissue of Apocalypse Now. This one I did not get to check out back in the day, sadly, and it does sound fantastic. I clicked on my AC3 decoder, fired this up, and helicopter pans across the back within the first couple minutes. Oh yeah, there's a little insert here. The gatefold interior is pretty much the same, a little bit different, a little redder overall. Letters from Francis there. Fantastic stuff. And this one was marketed to fans with the intent of getting them to pick up the Hearts of Darkness documentary, which was pretty popular around the same time. You could get it for, $19.95? Offer expires on September 15th, 1997, though, so get ready. So yeah, if you bought the widescreen AC3 reissue, you could get this guy at a discount, which was already a pretty cheap disc at the time anyways. So I didn't quite follow that coupon offer because it was no longer valid, but I did get from the exact same seller a pretty minty copy of Hearts of Darkness. I actually rented this from an LD rental store and saw it for the first time in the 90s, and was completely blown away by it. The insanity of the film completely was replicated by the insanity on the film set, and it's fantastic stuff. Eleanor Coppola watching her husband and all of his cast and crew, going down the river into Kurtz's wilderness of insanity. What year? It's 1992 this came out, so yeah, great stuff. And and George Hickenlooper, the Fax Buyer, did the proper documentary directing and writing. And this, I happened to go to one of my local record stores when they finally opened up again to limited customer base. Occasionally they have a couple LaserDiscs, and it's so occasion that it's in a little cubby hole underneath a record rack, so you'd never even know it was there unless you were looking for it. And I figured I'd thumb through just in case I had missed something, and there was a sealed copy of this, and I think I have a photo of the sticker from Lechmere, one of my favorite old New England-based department stores. But somebody had ponied up like 40-something bucks for this. The Universal letterboxed release of Spartacus. At some point, I will get the Criterions as well, because believe it or not, I still don't have those. But yeah, still in the shrink, so it was good to grab, and in pretty minty condition. So it's just a nice release, nice jacket, added to the collection. And this one also this is a byproduct of the Wolfpack effect, doing the podcast with all those crazy wolf packers, gets me in all sorts of trouble with picking up things. And we were on this tear about Michael Bay's The Rock, and I realized I didn't have the DTS copy. This is a little blown out on the spine and everything like that, but I had to get a DTS copy of The Rock. Otherwise, it's still pretty glossy, and the sound is ridiculous. I watched this, I think, the night I got it in the mail, and just really enveloping surround, and it looks fantastic too. I believe this is a Kure pressing, so super NTSC encoded and all that stuff. It's got THX certification, and no extras or anything like that, but it's got fantastic DTS 5.1, and worth picking up. Now I just got to get the Crimson Tide one. I bought it, but then the auction ended because the disc was cracked, so I don't know if the disc was cracked or not, but they canceled my auction anyways. I got this off of eBay. Shout out to Chris Altman, who actually pointed this out to me. I've got the Anchor Bay DVD that came with the sequel, the first sequel, on the flip side. But I always heard great things about this particular release. Shout out to Tim Lucas from Video Watchdog, because I remember in particular a Video Watchdog piece about this. And shout outs to Vinny Boncolari, who is kind of responsible for getting a lot of elite entertainment LaserDiscs into the hands of fans. But this one, sadly, I got outside of his connections and got it on eBay. Tombs of the Blind Dead. It's funny because a lot of my horror aficionado friends actually don't like this movie because it's slow and boring. And as I said on the podcast, this is like doom metal, like in living film form. This is like doom metal as a horror movie, and I love it. It's just the mood is so thick you can cut it with a knife. And the sequels are okay, but the original, man, this just has a lot of I don't know, just cherished memories for me. Unfortunately I saw it for the first time on DVD, but this looks fantastic. Maybe even stronger than the DVD counterpart, and I got it from Suncoast when it came out. I just remember watching it at like 1 a.m. and just falling in love with it. Just the mood in the opening credits alone is insane. So Spanish language subtitles, and 1.66 to 1. It's a nice release, not much in the way of extras or anything like that, but definitely a must-have for me. So if you want just like nonstop hack and slash, balls to the wall, Mopar 8-cylinder action, then this is not going to be it. But if you want something that's just going to be like you can just feel it reverberating in your bones, get this one. Love it. And likewise, I think Altman also tipped me off to this one. Sadly, it's only letterboxed in the opening credits. And I'll have to get the Japanese version as well. But this is how I saw it. I didn't see it on LaserDisc for the first time, but I saw this, transfer essentially when they dumped it over to cable. The classic Cemetery Man, also known as Della Morte Dell'Amore, and with Rupert Everett and Michel Sylvie, made this film. It's completely fantastic. It's like a mixture of all sorts of different elements. It's one part giallo, it's one part zombie film, it's one part like surreal fantasy. It's got some erotica in there. It's got everything, man. It's such a great film. And again, something I saw far too late at night. I probably should have been sleeping, and instead I stayed up and watched this, and it was just like a fever dream. And I love the ending too. Fantastic. Then I got a bunch of discs from Vinny. So shout outs to Vincent Honorati, a Wolfpack member. He had picked up a lot, and there was a bunch of stuff in there I wanted. And one particular, I was almost about to buy this off of eBay anyways. The widescreen release, which was impossible to get back in the day for some reason, of the Mosquito Coast. And really underrated movie. I remember wanting to see it when it dropped in theaters, and a friend of the family was like, "Why do you want to see that? That wasn't any good. It was too much of a drama for him." We were kind of more into Mad Max films and stuff at the time, but I don't know, there was something about this film that drew me to it. And there was a couple films, especially Warner films, that I would end up picking up at Suncoast and places like that, but they would only stock the pan and scan or the full frame versions. The Lost Boys being one, Black Rain being another, and this one. And there were widescreen pressings of them, but you could not find them in the wild. I probably should have just ordered a copy from the Image catalog and had them ship it to me. But I was impulsive, and I bought the 4:3 version without even thinking about it. I mean, it's not a Panavision film; it's only 1.85 to 1, but I still wanted to have the proper aspect ratio. But yeah, really underrated Peter Weir film, and Harrison Ford is just insane in it, and it's got River Phoenix in it too, so young and old Indiana Jones in the same film, and yeah, lots of good jungle atmosphere, so it's going to sound pretty fantastic in Dolby Surround. I mean, the Pan-Scan one is the same mix, and that did sound pretty delightful in Dolby Surround. But yeah, thanks to Vinny for hooking that up. Again, I have very fond childhood memories of seeing this, but this I used to watch on VHS, on the old top loader VHS player, and I was probably far too young to see it for some of its bawdy and naughty humor. Blake Edwards' S.O.B. And yeah, I have not seen this probably in decades, so I'm really excited to see it again with all these kind of like weird memories that it's going to trigger, and then couple that with kind of experiencing the humor and some of the gags and everything as an adult, and kind of like revisit my childhood and then see what I missed at the same time, look at it through a different lens. So looking forward to that. Again, I didn't realize there was a widescreen copy. Yeah, Warner was very stealthy about putting their widescreen logos on the silver stripe on the back. Again, I appreciate the fact that they did not put the silver stripe on the front. Same with Mosquito Coast. I always hated when they did that. It just kind of looks weak. I always love having the artwork take up the whole jacket. So yeah, 2 discs. This release came out in, 90? So straight up. So thanks, Vinny. And this, I remember watching on, who aired this? Was this Fox? I can't remember what network dropped this, or if it was like an A&E something. But yeah, the Titanic miniseries from the mid-90s. Gorgeous jacket. Love the colors on that thing. Really pops. Vinny had that. It's not a gatefold. It's 2 discs, but they cheaped out. So it's all just crammed into one jacket. What year was this? 96. And then this release was 97. Good timing. But yeah, I have not seen this in quite some time, so I'm looking forward to revisiting it. 173 minutes. Peter Gallagher's in it, George C. Scott, Eva Marie Saint, Tim Curry, and Marilu Henner in there as well. And I didn't have a copy of this. We were joking about how he had Tu Wong Fu, and I'm like, well, do you have Priscilla? And he's like, well, if you have Tu Wong Fu, you got to have Priscilla. And since I had Tu Wong Fu already, I grabbed Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Agent Smith, and Elrond doing some serious drag action in this. What year did this come out? 94? Yeah, 94. This release dropped out in 95 on LD, Stephen Elliott's film. Yeah, this was a indie film darling at the time, and pretty much everyone's first experience here in the States with Hugo Weaving. But yeah, so I grabbed that. I got to check it for rot. I don't know if that's is this a DADC? Because I know, yeah, it is a DADC USA, but is it Austria? Yeah, made in Austria. Yeah, buddy. So I don't have to worry about rot then, probably. So thanks again, Vinny. Also, this is what kind of stirred on my whole purchase from him, as he had this, and even though they put widescreen on the front this time of this Warner release, I just never realized it was out on the LD, because this dropped pretty late in the game, 1998, the Gumball Rally, and I saw this in the theaters at least one time as a child. My mom was a big fan of Michael Sarrazin and took me to see it. At least I'm pretty sure I saw this more than once in the theaters, because they did do some reissues. It dropped originally in 1976, and then back in the day before cable and VHS, they would end up kind of re-releasing hot films every couple of years or so, or they would drop it as like a B picture at a drive-in or something like that. So yeah, that's how I saw a lot of these things. I'm pretty sure I saw this at least twice in the theaters. This, however, is scope 2.35 to 1, so it is awesome to have it widescreen on a LaserDisc, and fired this up right away too. Looked pretty darn fantastic. Shout outs to my buddy Matt, who's probably never going to watch this, but we used to watch this film back there. We both had fond memories of this film, and yeah, Gumball Rally. So yes, it was before the Cannonball Run, and yes, it's awesome. And we always joke about, shout outs to Spencer Draper, we always joke about playing Rot Roulette, and I decided to play Rot Roulette with this one, Dolores Claiborne, and the house won this time, because this is totally rotted, all 3 sides, but the jacket was in nice condition, so I can maybe replace the discs at some point. I just wanted to grab this because I again have fond memories of picking this up from a rental store, and this was the first thing I actually watched when I bought my Magnavox 27-inch TV I picked up from the JCPenney warehouse. It was like a refurb or something like that, and it's still working today. So when everyone scoffed at getting those like refurbs or open box items at the stores, those were usually my go-to because you can get a significant savings, and most of the time those things like worked forever. So, but I just remember the opening scene, or not the opening scene, but pretty early on in the film, there's a shot of a table with the camera at like table lip level, and then there's this rolling pin rolling at the frame, and I just remember thinking it was almost like 3D, seeing it on my huge 27-inch TV. I'd stepped up from maybe a 19-inch Toshiba at the time, but yeah, I just remember the impact this LD had. It's just a Dolby Surround, but I just want to grab it anyways. But sadly, it is Rat City, but I guess watchable. Vinny also had a couple Criterions that I wanted to get. I know Seth from the Wolfpack was showing these off in our Criterion special, or maybe it was our horror special. I can't remember which. But Flesh for Frankenstein, also known as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. And, I heard tales about these films as a kid, and it really wasn't until these Criterions came out that I saw them available, and they were just something beyond legend, because they would play at the art house cinemas in my neck of the woods, And it's interesting. It's got this actual sticker on the back here talking about the 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. I'm intrigued to see, like, this whole section here is a sticker. I'm intrigued to see what's underneath it, but I don't really want to peel it off to find out. But yeah, Paul Morrissey's film from what year? 1973. And then this Criterion came out in 96. So it's got a little bit of shelfware, but it's nice. And also, you have to have Blood for Dracula, a.k.a. Andy Warhol's Dracula. Another Paul Morrissey film. Udo Kier's, just the coolest. This likewise has a little sticker here talking about the transfer. This one being 1.85 to 1. I wish they did this more often. And, and Criterion will do this in their booklets now some days too. But, it talks about the film being created from a 35mm internegative, the audio tracks mastered from a 1-inch transfer from the optical track, transfer supervised by Paul Morrissey, Ron Stetler doing telecine at the Tape House in New York. I mean, I just like having all those details. It's pretty cool. I wish more releases had that. And I also wish, like, widescreen review, if they knew some details, they would usually spill them in their reviews in the early days, but they kind of dropped that after a while too. So, a bit of a bummer, but had to get that. And this, sadly, I was disappointed wasn't letterboxed, because this is a reissue, a later 1996 reissue, and they dropped it on DVD letterboxed not too long after that, a couple of years, which I do have. But again, childhood favorite, Richard Matheson's story, Legend of Hell House. Fantastic film, and inspiration for Edgar Wright's Don't from Grindhouse. And one of the inspirations for it. But this is a gorgeous Fox release. Sadly, it's 4:3. Again, not a super wide film or anything like that. But yeah, Pamela Franklin, Roddy McDowall, Clive Revel, and Gail Honeycutt. Roddy McDowall's great in this thing. And what was it? 94 minutes, just monaural, CLV. But I mean, come on, you can't say no to that jacket art. So even though I don't usually pick up non-letterboxed horror films on LD, I had to make an exception for this one, and Vinny cut me a deal on it. And let's take a breather, gather our bearings, and then we'll come back and attack this fresh with some more LDs very shortly. Cheers, everybody.